Just a couple of weeks left in the October season, we finally have a full glimpse at what cards are coming in November thanks to data miners. Let's go ahead and dive on into the details and talk about what could be exciting in Marvel Snap and why coming next month. Our November season pass card looks to be Surtur, a 3/5 with the triggered ability. Whenever you play a card with 10 plus power, this gains plus 3 power. In my opinion, Surtur could finally be the card that makes Scar a powerful format staple in Marvel Snap. While Scar has seen some fringed play in the past, often being reduced to a 2 or 4 energy card consistently and paired with tech cards like Shang-Chi or Shadow King, it's been really difficult to consistently get Scar to completely free outside of location variants breaking favorably for you. Surtur's 3 energy cost and the ability to scale up to 10 points of power on turn 5 changes this dynamic. We have a really organic curve now where you go Surtur on 3, 10 power thing on 4, 10 power thing on 5, and then Scar is completely free, able to be played out with another 6 drop on the final turn of the game or in combination with other cheaper things, generating a pretty sizable swing. Now, it is worth noting that I think Surtur is probably a little bit narrow, especially as season pass cards go. But if it makes Scar finally a reasonable, solid Marvel Snap card, I definitely think it'll be a worthwhile addition to the game overall. I'd like to take a quick minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Medify. Medify has added a brand new part to their platform that allows you to support creators like myself directly, with 100% of the money that you support with going directly to the creator that you're supporting. If you're someone who enjoys the content that I make here for Marvel Snap and you want to help this continue to be able to be my full-time job, consider supporting me directly. If you're in the position to even support with $1 per month, that's more direct support than I would get if you watched every single advert on every single YouTube video and Twitch stream that I did in a 30-day period. If you're someone who's in a position to support a little bit more than that, at the $4 tier and above, you also gain access to my exclusive supporter-only Discord server where myself and the community are chatting about Marvel Snap and video games and sports and politics and food and all sorts of other things 24 hours a day. So if you're interested in picking my brain even during offline hours, that's an excellent way to do it. Shout out again to Medify for only creating this awesome platform for people to be able to support on, but also sponsoring this video today to promote it extra to you all at home. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the deck list, shall we? Frigga is set to release in Marvel Snap on November 5th as a new Series 5 card, is a 3/3 with the on reveal at a copy of the last card you played to your hand. As someone who absolutely loves Nico Minaru's copy the next card you played mode, I am super interested to get to play some games with Frigga, one of my favorite pet cards that I played a ton of in Marvel Snap that immediately jumped to mind when I saw this design was Dakin. That Maramasa shard that Dakin generates specifically buffs every card with the name Dakin on your board, meaning if you're able to get a second copy of Dakin and you destroy or discard 2 shards, they're both going to double twice, up to 16 typically. Other good examples for Frigga are something like Thor or Beta Ray Bill, who are generating cards that specifically power up cards of their name. So making copies of them has always been potent, but we didn't previously have clean ways to get copies of them every single game like we'll now be able to do with Frigga. Another thing that jumps to mind past these cards that power up themselves is something like Sage's design, who gets big when you play it out and then has a chance to get bigger again after you copy it. King Eitri, set to release on November 9th and currently data mined to be a direct to Series 4 card. Ooh, subject to change. Asterisk is a 1/2 with activate. Draw a card that didn't start in your deck. So probably not a mistake that these cards that have kind of a Thor's vibe synergize with Thor and Bojack Norseman, aka Beta Ray Bill. This card being activate is especially potent as well, because you'll be able to have a curve such as King Eitri on turn 1 or 2, then play Thor on turn 3, plus activate King Eitri to draw that hammer out right away, guaranteed, to then either do something like copy it with Moon Girl on turn 4, or immediately play it out into a Lockjaw so you can fish that hammer back up out of your deck again later, perhaps with something like Jane Foster. This design is super neat and one that can only get better as more cards are added to the game that put things into your deck. Past Thor and Beta Ray Bill, other potentials for King Eitri at release are going to be Loki, who's kind of boring, as well as Thanos, who always enjoys fishing up an extra Infinity Stone. I suppose I should also call out that he can draw you a randomly generated card out of your Airship deck, but I don't expect that to be particularly powerful, but I wanted to mention it so we don't get actualied in the comments by some gamers. Malekith is our third weekly release in November, set to debut on the 12th as Series 5. Has the on-reveal effect, add a 1, 2, or 3 cost card from your deck here. It reveals at the end of the game. This is a weird design, to say the least. One big question mark in my mind that we'll need the official monthly preview to find out is, do you get to know which 1, 2, or 3 cost card Malekith pulled out of your deck on turn 4 or 5? Or is it going to be a mystery to you and your opponent until the end of the game? There's obviously a number of cheaper Marvel Snap cards that he could profitably pull out in a number of situations. Tech cards like Shadow King or Killmonger come to mind, or something more proactive like a Wolfsbane or a Sage that really enjoys flipping up at the end of the game could be reasonable. I wouldn't be surprised if Malekith's best homes are decks that want to play him out on the last turn of the game, so that way the output range of which 1, 2, and 3s are left in your deck becomes more predictable, so you know what you're getting out of your 4 energy play. Fenris Wolf is finally coming to Marvel Snap on November 19th as the new Series 5 card, and it reads as an incredibly powerful addition to the game in my opinion. Base 2/3 stats with the activate, resurrect the highest power discarded or destroyed enemy card to your side at this location. This obviously is a hate card when playing into things like Hela. You're going to grab their Infinite almost all the time, but this obviously has direct synergy with playing your own cards that can blow up or discard your opponent's stuff, with Shang-Chi being the obvious one to mention. On that last turn of the game, you can play Shang-Chi out, break one of your opponent's absolutely massive things, and then resurrect it in another path with the Fenris Wolf, letting you effectively win 2 paths with just those 2 cards under a lot of ideal circumstances. I'm sure there will be some other niche and even metagame considerations where you would want to play this card, but I will not be surprised when Shang-Chi and Fenris Wolf show up as a 2-card package in a variety of Marvel Snap decks starting on the 19th. Gorr the God Butcher is the last card set to release in the 5-week November season, also currently data mined to be Series 5. This is an ongoing 6 -1 with the effect it gets +2 power for each on-reveal card in play. Now, it is noteworthy that this counts your side of the board as well as your opponent, so it's not going to be purely on you to scale up the stat line on this card, but I assume most decks that are going to leverage its effect to the greatest possible extent are going to have a lot of its own unrevealed cards. Gorr having a negative base power also means that it likely wants to be paired with things like Bast as well as Agent Venom, so that way you can pump up its minimum. But even just at face value, I think a good way to think about Gorr is you need approximately 6 to 7 on-reveal cards in play between your side and your opponent's to get an on-rate 6 energy card with 11 to 13 points of power. I think with most reasonable deck building setups, that's going to be pretty serviceable to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if this card becomes a staple in Mr. Negative decks moving forward, since those decks obviously like something that will be free after Mr. Negative and already tend to be playing a lot of unrevealed cards, including things like Arnim Zola that will synergize very well with a big stat line. I'm honestly really looking forward to November's card releases. I feel like the last couple months for Marvel Snap have been a little bit bumpy, with a lot of the cards that have released being a little bit on the weaker side, meaning they don't tend to have a meaningful impact in the metagame. And I think things like Fenris Wolf and even Frigga and Surtur are likely to make a bit of a splash, or at the very least put new decks onto the map that were previously just a bit underpowered. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below of which upcoming card releases you're looking forward to. And if you enjoyed my breakdown on the topic, be sure to smash that like button. One final shout out to Metafy again for sponsoring today's video. If you're someone that enjoys my content and you want to help me stay full-time with what I do here, be sure to check out the link to my Metafy page in the description down below for a great way to do that directly.